We were talking to some degree about the miracle of how quickly your daughter recovered cognitive function, how short her coma was, and those kind of things. But there's also some very significant tragedy in your daughter's case too, I'm sure, other than just and some problems and struggles that you've been through. And we were talking about that a little bit with where she was at as she was finishing 4th grade, and let's pick up the conversation at that there. So when she's getting the tutoring, she's trying to finish her school year. What are the problems that she's having?
I think that brain to hand issue, the writing, is difficult. She can verbally express what her answers are quite well. Sitting still was very difficult for her to sit at the kitchen with this nice tutor who has had a son who had a brain injury himself, but actually passed away. So after a length of healing things. But she had a very difficult time just sitting still and staying put. And it was frustrating for all of us and frustrating for herself too, because come on, we say, oh, you used to do this. You used to love to read. You used to like bananas or whatever the situation was. And I had to realize, mourning the loss of the daughter I had. And it took me quite a long time because I wanted that daughter back.
Does she remember who she was? I mean, now it's been 7.5 years, but if we're going back to May and June of her 4th grade year, does she remember at that time how different her life was, what her life was like? What does she remember?
I don't think that was even on her mind. I don't think she could put that into terms. Embracing, there are a couple of 4th grade activities that were going on. One, they do a sleepover at the school, and it's in the middle of winter when there's not much going on anywhere else, and so the kids stay over. They make t-shirts, they put on a play, they do all sorts of things. Well, she was invited there for the dinner, and they also had, like I said, making t-shirts and things, but when she walked in the room, the noise level was so high for her that was disturbing, put her on edge. So that was a stressor, and they all ran up to her and hugged her, and the emotion in her face wasn't, oh, I'm so happy to be here, or, oh, this is too loud. It was absolute terror. She has her mouth open just like somebody is hurting her severely, because that touch and hugging she doesn't like that anymore. She doesn't like to be touched a lot. It's almost autistic kind of to me that's what I associate it like. Unless if she wants it, the hugs, it seems like it's uncomfortable for her even touching her.
Does she have, do they describe her as being hyperactive?
Yeah.
So that,
I don't think so.
That can't sit still, that needed to pace, those things are not moved
till
into a formal diagnosis of ADHD?
Not till we went down to a neuropsych physician who was extremely wonderful. He was actually in retirement, and he came back on a grant.
Is that, what's his name?
Dr. Thigh.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
My guess is that's who it was.
He's a wonderful man, and until we actually sat down and talked to him, he explained it all. He says it's nervous energy from this being reconnected, and this is how she can expel it, is by walking. The tapping stopped once she figured out about the walking piece. That pacing took that place. Some of the other things, liking to make noise, even to this day, she'll sit, and if she's in the kitchen and she's doing something, if she's hitting her spoon on the side of the dish to get whatever off of it, she'll keep it up a couple, 3-4 times just because. And repetition. She was very repetitive with things. Writing, she'd perseverate and do a P over and over until it was just pitch black. Everything was so hard on the paper. Everything was so hard just walking around on her feet even. was a pounding, was a jolting. So he opened our eyes to a lot of things that we didn't understand.
When did you get to Marshfield?
I think it was July of that year, so it was about, 5 months after the accident.
Okay. And what do you tell me about the assessment that is done and more about what you've learned?
Well, he actually took her into a room and had him with an associate do all the testing. Dr. Thigh did. And then Dr. Thigh sat with us. And he interviewed her first, which was really cute because he likes riddles. And he asked her about some riddles. And she understood some of the jokes a little bit if they were point blank obvious, and some of them she didn't. And she did get some of the riddles, but once she was out in the room, then he started explaining to us what was going on, and it was just like, duh, you could have, you just couldn't believe that you didn't figure this out for yourself. And my husband was instrumental in digging. I mean, he was the computer guy. He got into books. He got into everything, trying to just investigate brain injury upside down and backwards. It was amazing. I said, well, why? And he would tell me. I just didn't have the time for that, unfortunately. I just, okay, that's fine.